Alright, so it is my firm belief that 14-year-olds shouldn't be dating, intimately dating, that is. 15-year-olds, hell, probably even 16-year-olds. I'm not sure what I'd be okay with, because my view of it is I know that I can look back on when I was 14 and I can tell that I was not mature enough to be dating. But I was, in fact, intimately, I lost my virginity at 14, as I previously said in a video. And I didn't really have a serious relationship until I was 20. So this video, on a rare occasion, I'm going to use a name, because I haven't heard or spoken to this person in like 20 years. And I think it's literally been like over 20 years. And I'm not going to use a last name. And I literally have never seen this person again. So after I lost my virginity at 14 and I was cheated on, I found this homeless guy named Donnie. And I brought him home. And I said, "Mom, can I keep him?" And she said, "Yeah, whatever." And my mom was a good mom. She always kept the house clean. But if anything to get me out of her hair. And she did whatever she could for me. She bought me anything I wanted. Or she made sure somebody bought me whatever I wanted, and Nintendo 64, TV, stereo. My dad got me the stereo. But, art supplies, people just wanted to keep me happy. It wasn't really because, what I'm saying? She just wanted me to be happy. And I told her having a boy live with me would make me happy. So at 14, I believe by this point I was 15 years old. I was 14, turning on 15. He was 19, and his name was Donnie. He had the only thing I remember about him is he had like olive skin, and I believe he was Caucasian. He had like olive skin, and he had a red flannel shirt. He had brown eyes, and I'm not very much into brown eyes, but I think I liked him. I know that I slept with him at 15, and it wasn't like great, but at the time I'm sure I thought it was wonderful because I was 15. And my grandmother liked him so much. I believe at the time my mother was telling her that we were not intimate together. But my grandmother liked him so much. I think she thought he was a good boy. And he wasn't. We partied together. We got drunk. We smoked. Part of the reason I did not enjoy drinking alcohol very much from 20 years old on is because I drank a lot from 14 until 19. I drank a lot. I partied really hard from 14 years old to 19. And by the time I turned 20, 21, I didn't want nothing to do with alcohol. And I really didn't for 10 years. I drank a few times, and I always overdid it, and I hated the way I felt the next day. I essentially kind of gave myself alcohol poisoning when I was a teenager. So I never really wanted it when I was older. My body would reject it very strongly when I was older. And so my grandmother didn't know that I was into all these activities. My mother, pretty sure my mom kind of knew. And I did what I wanted anyway. Nobody could ever stop me from doing what I wanted. And this boy, Donnie, and I know he was 19. I remember that much. See, my memory is foggy prior to 9 years old. Like 8, 9 years old, it's really foggy. But I remember everything very vividly from like 14 years old on. Somewhere around there, 13, 14 years old on. My grandmother liked him so much, she gave him two small diamond earrings to give to me. I had no idea about it until he took off, and I never saw him again. My grandmother was furious. I said, "I can't find Donnie." Well, Donnie dumped me without telling me he was dumping me. He just took off. I heard he went to North Carolina, and he took those diamond earrings with him. I figure he pawned them somewhere along the way. I don't know. I never heard from him again. Shortly after, I began dating Donnie's best friend that he left there. Eventually I had like 2 men living with me in my bedroom at 15. I'm not going to use his name because there are legal matters. When I was 16 years old, he was supposed to be my friend. We were supposed to be dating. We went to a New Year's Eve party that was what I know now to be the old house. People I knew, people who are good to me now, who showed me love, that ended up being their house, and it changed a place of trauma for me. That house where I was raped at 16 years old ended up not being a place of pain for me years later, because people I would come to love years later had moved into there, and they had treated the house, but my corruption was still deep inside that house. So I began dating this, he was also 19 at the time. I was 16 at the time we began dating, and we were intimate for a few times before we went to this party. I was into him, and he had a bit of a criminal record. And I still to this day do not have a criminal record, but the legality behind it is that I did file charges against him. I got a rape kit the very next day. But see, the thing of it was, all of our friends were there, and they knew I was dating this guy, and I never wanted to do anything in that bathroom, and he knew that. I said no several times. I said, come on, let's go home. You know, maybe we could go upstairs even, you know, just make out a little bit, then we could go home. I did not want to be intimate in that house. I didn't know where it was. He knew that. We began drinking, and I thought I was having a good old time, and I drank like a whole bottle of vodka, pretty much, almost a whole bottle of vodka. And I don't like vodka. This is why I've never liked vodka other than this night. And they all watched me drink it. 16 years old, and they were all older than me, maybe around the same age. There was only one little boy that was not supposed to be there. There was only one child there that was too young to be there, in my opinion. He was 10 years old. And I have to tell you, this is why I'm making this video. I'm sorry if this video is hurting anybody who's listening to it. I'm sorry if I'm causing you any stress. But I have to do this. I used to be very upset about what happened to me. I still am. This person recently contacted me, actually, this year. We hadn't spoken in about 20 years. And they contacted me. They actually had the balls to say hi to me. They didn't say anything else. They say sorry. They didn't say anything else. They said hi. Hi, Arlene. Hi, Arlie, or whatever they said. I blocked them. But anyway, we began drinking. I drank the whole bottle. I said, come on, let's go home. Somewhere between let's go home, I ended up in a bathroom with my head banging against a toilet, while he said very vulgar and awful things about what he was going to do to me in front of the crowd of people. And I used to not be able to handle this memory, but now the only regret I have now is that little boy watched that happen to me, and I have no idea. I never knew that little boy, little 10-year-old black boy. I have no idea what that did to that kid. I have no idea if that made him into a perpetrator. And I used to feel sorry for myself, you know, but that kid watched that happen. I don't know if he thought that was okay. I don't know what he thought. And I've never been able to get that kid out of my head, man. They ended up finishing. They were all watching and cheering him on. And this was a town I grew up in. This was actually, I think I could tell you what street this was on. This was on Pulaski Street in Ware, Massachusetts. And I used to walk by this house every day with hate in my heart until I met some best friends who ended up living there. And they're moved now, of course. So, to wrap this up, I'll say they all left. I think they went to a gas station to go get munchies. They said I could even remember. I was blacking in and out, but I could remember what they were saying. They're all laughing, shuffling out. I couldn't even pull up my pants, man. I was so drunk. And the moral of this story is: do not put yourself in a position where you cannot fight back. It was my fault for not fighting back. Do you understand? People can tell you all the pretty little words in the world about what's right and what's wrong and what shouldn't have happened. You have to protect yourself in this world. Do you understand? You don't do stupid shit like go to parties with people you don't know so well. When you're a teenager, you need to focus on your education. That's all you need to focus on is your education. You don't drink and put yourself in stupid positions. So, It was snowing on the ground, and I actually crawled home. I couldn't walk, but I managed to get my pants up. I managed to get a jacket on. I literally could not walk. I actually had to kind of crawl home in the snow. And my mother took me to the police station the next morning, and the results of having my rape kit and finding that his DNA, they took witness statements. What they told me was that I could not go further because, my mother told me that we could go further because they had witness statements saying that I wanted it. That there was, I think there was a lot of people. Actually, I think it was like 5 or 6, 7 people. There's a whole crowd of people saying that I wanted it. These were people I knew. These were people I partied with. That's why I didn't really like to party when I was older anymore. You know, man. And I accepted that I was not going to be able to go further legally. The person ended up harassing me for a couple times over the next 2 years, but they faded away within like a year and a half, 2 years roughly. I didn't speak to them for about 15 to 20 years. I believe it's like 15 to 20 years by now. So don't mind my crying. I'm honestly over it. It's very emotional to rehash it. It needs to be said. It needs to be said. I don't care that it happened to me. It was my stupidity, my lack of intelligence at the time, self-preservation. Should have sensed it, you know. My only reason really I'm crying is just, you know, that kid, man. And I'm also crying because it's kind of beautiful, you know. How could I imagine something so beautiful? A place that became so awful for me would have had people that would have shown me so much love later on in life. That life would do that for me. It would be like, you know, this is an awful street for you. We're gonna renew it for you. We're gonna give it a new life for you. I ended up walking into that house years later, seeing that bathroom again. And that bathroom looked like I had left my rotted soul in the walls. It was falling apart through. It wasn't their fault or anything. They were moving on their way, moving out. But the bathroom, like Silent Hill, had this. It had my pain inside those walls. So the moral of the story is, if you're young and you're dumb, you need to get your ass to the library. You need to not do drugs, not even pot, man. Don't even smoke pot, man. I went my whole life trying to virtue signal how harmless it was. It's not a gateway drug. It's just like anything else in this world, man. So, if you're young and you're dumb, you need to stay in school. Dating, boys, partying, that's for when you're 20. It needs to be done with it by the time you're 25. You understand me? There is a way to do this correctly. And you don't want to let your life pass you by. And I thought that's what I was not doing. I thought I was living life to the fullest. Because my father always spoke about how much fun he had. And I did. I had a lot of fun. But man, all the partying, it wasn't worth the pain, man. I got things inside of me, like dark things. It's like gunk. It's like it gunks up your soul, man. Like you can clean it out and you can send it back out to the world positive. But if you take too much in a short amount of time, I thought I could take on the world, man. Well, smarter and stronger people have tried, and they also got obliterated. So you do your fucking best to do what you will, what you feel is right. I can't tell you really what's right. I can't really sit here and tell you what your path is. You only know that. But I can wish that you will stay in school, and you will go to college, and you will do the best you can to elevate the vibrational awareness of this world and make it a brighter, a more loving place. And sometimes the path to that is not always cheesy, lovey, and sincere. Sometimes the path to it is brutal, uncomfortable, and dark. And how can you find any sort of light until you can walk through the dark? How can you grow unless you are uncomfortable? And people would talk to me like this, like I didn't know. My whole life, especially later, like people would say that to me, like it would be this, oh my God, really? Yeah, I found that out when I was younger, thanks. So I'm telling you now, keep up on your education. Have a good day.